Someone's come to you and told you something heavy, a burden they've been carrying. What do you say to comfort someone who's grieving or filled with guilt or shame? It can feel like their burden's now in your lap and you have to do something and take it away. To put your mind at ease, right from the start, I want you to know something very important. You can't fix someone's burden. They may come to you hoping that you can, but you can't. It's their burden, their pain, and even though they don't want it, it's their healing journey to take, not yours. But if you can't take away their burden or their pain, what can you do? You can listen with your heart. In this video, I'll suggest ways you can offer comfort by listening with your heart, even when you're caught off guard or you don't like or agree with what you're hearing, or if you're fighting the urge to tell them what to do. And if you stay tuned to the end, for those who can't resist the urge to do something to comfort someone, I'll tell you what to do. Now, first of all, what does it mean to listen with your heart? It means to set yourself aside with your ego, assumptions, preferences, and attitudes and focus 100% on the other person. More than advice, what the other person needs is your love and your respect. Your heart understands what it means to love and to be loved. It also knows how to show love. When a friend tells you their burden, they're probably afraid you'll judge and reject them. They need your compassion and reassurance that they're safe. But what does that look like? Listening with your heart looks like listening without interrupting, asking questions, agreeing, disagreeing, or offering advice. Even if the story is coming out in a jumble and you can't follow who's who or what's what, you don't need to know or understand every detail. What's important is that you're trustworthy and reliable. In a previous video, I explained 5 questions to ask to choose the right person to tell a secret to. You might want to watch that to make sure you're the right person they're telling. Now, what does it mean to listen with your heart? I mean, what does it sound like? Well, I'll tell you what it doesn't sound like. For example, Sabrina, I know just what you mean. When I went through my divorce, my ex was so blah, 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 blah. And then I told him blah, blah, blah. No matter how tempting it is to tell your similar experience, no matter how much you want to explain how things will get better, don't. Listening with your heart keeps your attention entirely on the other person in that moment. It's their moment. Instead, it might sound something like this. Sabrina, I'm just so glad that you can trust me and you feel like you can talk to me. In that statement, you're reassuring her and opening the door if she wants to say more. Next, you offer comfort by acknowledging her suffering or the emotions that she's feeling. For example, Sabrina, I can see this is so hard for you. Sabrina, I see that you're afraid. I can feel that your heart's broken. You're saying what you see or sense without interpretation or trying to make it go away. When we feel seen, we feel honored and acknowledged, and it opens up the door for us to share more. Now, what about when the dreaded tears start to flow? That's something, well, it's something difficult for all of us to be in the presence of someone crying. I was recently part of a conversation when someone revealed that she's heartbroken that her grandchild is diagnosed with Down syndrome. As soon as this tear started to come to her eyes, other people jumped in to remind her how God has a purpose for this child. Someone handed her a tissue so she could wipe the tears away. Now, what they said was absolutely true. God does have a purpose and a plan for that child. And it is important to lean into his promises in difficult times. I know the intentions were to be kind and helpful. But you know what happened? Her tears stopped. You could tell that she was uncomfortable. And so she started to compose herself and assure everyone, no, I'll be okay. Yeah, I know the Lord is, I know that he sees me. We made her uncomfortable because we were uncomfortable with her tears. Were we listening with our hearts, or were we reacting to our own discomfort and sense of helplessness? Why is it so difficult to be with someone in emotional pain? Are we afraid that when a light's shed in the darkness of someone's life, that a bunch of cockroaches are going to come flying out and jump into our pockets to take home with us? Is grief and pain something contagious that we should be afraid of? What you should say instead is, it's okay to cry. Maybe you wrap your arms around them. Maybe what you say to comfort someone is, Sabrina, I'm so sorry this is happening. Then you sit quietly and appreciate the honor of this intimate moment that your friend has opened up and shared with you. My husband told me how meaningful it was after his wife died when his friend Mike called and said, "Oh, Bill, I know you're hurting." And then he got quiet and let Bill talk and cry, and Mike wept with him. My husband still remembers this many years later. It was that meaningful to him. Mike proved the point that listening with his heart assured Bill that he wasn't alone and that he would have Mike's love, respect, and support through his grieving and healing journey. Now, if you're getting value from this video, would you hit the like button and subscribe and share it with people that you think might benefit from it? It would really help me, and it would bring others to my channel. Let me pull this all together. If you're someone who cares for your family and friends, and I know that you do, you probably have struggled with what to say to comfort someone when they're hurting. As your mentor, my goal is to put your mind at ease that you can't take on someone's burden, but you can love them by listening with your heart. Let's summarize what that means. It means you listen without interrupting, asking questions, agreeing, disagreeing, or offering advice. It means 100% of your attention is on the other person. It's their moment. You don't tell your story. You acknowledge and name their emotion. You welcome and sit with their tears. As much as you'd like to take their suffering away with the right words, remind yourself that you're not God. God is God. And that leads me to what I promised in the beginning of this video, to those who insist they have to do something when someone's in pain. What you can do is pray. You can offer to do that after your friend or loved one has finished talking by asking, "Sabrina, can I pray for you?" Or, "How can I pray for you?" Many of us, I know, aren't comfortable doing that on the spot. We just aren't comfortable praying in the spur of the moment. But if you know the Lord's Prayer or the Hail Mary, say those prayers or whatever prayers you may have memorized. Or prayer is simply saying what comes to your mind. You can simply say, "Father, thank you for bringing us together, for loving us. Please help us." Amen. Praying is that simple. You know, as a coach and mentor, I've been in situations where someone shared a problem or a heartbreak, and at first I would panic, believing that I had to come up with some magic words that would take their pain or grief away. And then I'd also try to come up with some smart advice on how to fix things, what they should do or say. And with that mindset, you know what? I failed every time. And you know why? Because I was focused on me, not the other person. I've learned so much over the years, the hard way, and I still don't get it right every time. As your mentor, I do promise you that if you listen with your heart, you'll know what to say to comfort someone every time. Thank you for watching. I'm your mentor, Jane.